Hello and welcome everyone. This is Type V3 with a Gunpla review of the SDBF Star-winning Gundam. Piloted by Fumina Hoshino, this is the third and final upgraded mobile suit for Team Tri-Fighters. Taking the lid off this SD kit, you're presented with a total of 9 items, and immediately there's cause for concern. While the design of the Star-winning Gundam calls for many green sections, the kit doesn't actually include an all-encompassing green plastic frame. In its place, a daunting sticker sheet, and this will largely characterize the build depending on whether or not you decide to use it. Outside of this disappointing fact, the rest of the assembly is simple and straightforward, verging on monotonous. I'd peg the average build time at around the 30-minute mark. Now, for those who subscribe to the theory that model kits must always be painted, I thought it would be relevant to show you what the Star-winning looks like without any stickers applied, apart from the eyes. As you can see, it's fairly dull. Part separation is minimal at best, and it needs a considerable amount of work. You'll need to paint in the green gem pieces, the orange in the center of the V-fin, color match the yellow plastic for certain areas, and of course, fill in spots like exposed vents and thrusters. Nub marks aren't too bad, and there's no real need for seamline coverage either. Sure, the kit doesn't call for the most complicated of tasks, but it was still more effort than I was willing to put in. Stickers applied and some minor detailing added, this is the result, and it's decent. The basic structure and shape of the Star-winning match up with its animation line art quite well. From all angles, it seems about right. What I absolutely love are those green effect pieces. They always look like they're glowing. As for the stickers, well, they're just not good. Basically, every piece has to cover a curved surface, which makes applying them tricky, and the final appearance is almost never smooth. It's especially bad in the hip skirts. It's not the worst possible outcome, still you get the sense that there could have been a better solution. Also, while you do get 4 different eye options, there's only enough parts to use one, so choose carefully. Height-wise, the Star-winning Gundam hovers around the 3.5-inch mark, an appropriate size, though obviously that huge backpack gives it both a wide profile and a large footprint. In my experience, it took up more display space on the shelf than I anticipated. Being an SD kit, articulation isn't all that impressive. It can basically do anything that most SDs can, so turn the head side to side, arms can go back and forth, there's a elbow joint there, the legs are connected on a polycap, there's ball joint at the ankle, and that's really all you're getting. The one thing I will note is, because of this really complex design, everything likes to collide with one another, and none of these tolerances are very tight. So for instance, the head, if you're moving the arms up like this, boom, pops off. If you want to bend this elbow joint, or kind of turn it or twist it, the whole arm likes to pop out. And it's a similar story with the legs. Also, it's very back heavy, so even if you do lift these up, these will tend to sort of fall backwards, and it's just not the most solidly built SD kit I've experienced, or model kit I've experienced for that matter, and it's just a bit unfortunate as this thing falls to pieces as I'm trying to display it for you. But generally, that's all you need to know for articulation. The Star-winning Gundam includes a single weapon accessory, the beam machine gun. It's completely molded in gray plastic, so paint is a necessity for screen accuracy. It can also be reconfigured into its Mega Blade form, though there's no actual effect part to simulate it in its full powered state. The kit can hold the weapon fine, though the gun mode is a bit more troublesome due to the awkwardly placed handles. Next, you can take all 4 star funnels off the backpack and use them as support units. To be frank, this feature kinda sucks. Like any funnel type weapon, multiple display stands are required. On top of that, they don't really look like weapons. For something a bit more convincing, you can remove the green star pieces as well as the 2 guard bits to form what's basically an energy shuriken. It turned out better than I thought, and it looks quite nice. The last piece of plastic included is a visor, and this is solely used with the Star-winning Gundam's transformation. Pop off the head, fold down the wings and cockpit, reposition the giant V-fin, and use the visor to cover the eyes, and what you get is the core booster. It's a cute, bulbous machine that's fun to swoosh around. For the rest of the body, remove the backpack pieces and reattach them onto the bottom of the feet. From here, combine it with the core booster to form the Mega Core Booster. Truthfully, I have nothing nice to say about this mode. It looks like a complete afterthought, like someone tried to force these parts together and gave up halfway. It's junk. The Star-winning Gundam still holds one final trick, and it's achieved through extensive parts forming. Essentially, disassemble the kit almost in its entirety until you're left with a pile of parts. then build up the Gundam again, this time in a different form. Conceptually, what's happening is that the star funnels are being used to form arm and leg extensions, while the center back piece acts as a new torso. The SD head opens up to reveal a smaller head, and then the remainder of the core booster is just pegged onto the Gundam's back. It's not that tricky to do, there's just a lot happening. When finished, the result is the star-winning Gundam in its real mode. Initial impressions of the real mode star-winning Gundam are good. It resembles the animation model well enough, though it's far from perfect. Ignoring the stickers, all the basic colors and their placement are correct, and there doesn't appear to be any missing details. Proportionally, some areas do come across as odd. Nothing's technically incorrect, yet certain areas do seem to be slightly more exaggerated than they should be, like in the arms. Around back, it's disappointing to see that the legs have completely exposed hollow areas, although nothing's quite as shocking as seeing the core booster just sitting there on the Gundam's back. Again, I don't think there's anything absolutely wrong with the presentation here, I just wish it were more streamlined throughout. This version of the Gundam stands at around 5 inches tall. As for other features, the real mode doesn't possess anything that I haven't already demonstrated with its SD counterpart. There's a couple differences with articulation on the real mode. The head, first of all, is on that same double ball joint, so it can go back and forth side to side. It still does come off rather easy, so that's disappointing. The torso actually only has a ball joint right at the base, but because of how this thing is molded upwards, you can't rotate it, you can't really wiggle, you can't do anything with it. Shoulders are on your standard hinged poly cap, so the joint is actually inside the torso. That allows it to go upwards. It can rotate forward, and you can tell right now that this green piece is colliding with the backpack, making that a bit of a tricky situation. Again, this piece loves to just pop out. It's not a very secure connection. And I've even thickened these, and I don't know why it still likes to pop out. You do have a single joint at the elbow. It gets less than 90 degrees, but what you can do is use the second, I guess, arm connection to sort of give it a double elbow joint. It doesn't make it look like the best situation, but it's okay. A big ball joint at the wrist, and these pieces right here, they get in the way when you put the arms down, and they also just like to fly off too. The hips are connected on a pegged polycap just right there. It looks like a ball joint, and again, this piece does like to pop out like I mentioned earlier. You do have a swivel there. You have a swivel up in this section of the leg. You do get a single joint at the knee. Check it out, 90 degrees, not too bad. I wish you could do a little bit more. The ankle here does have the ability to hinge backwards, and there's a ball joint at the top of the foot. Now, as for how much movement the leg can actually achieve, it's really none, because the hip skirt is one solid piece. So if you want to kick forward, you're not going to go anywhere. If you want to kick outward, you're kind of not going anywhere either. Basic articulation is all the real mode can achieve, though considering that this is still an SD Gundam at its core, it was expected. The finickiness when posing is the real disappointment. Back when the star winning and its extraordinary real mode gimmick were revealed on Gundam Build Fighters Try, I immediately had doubts about what the real world model kit counterpart could achieve. Then when it was announced that the kit would be developed under the SD Gundam budget, any remaining hopes I had left for this MS were lost. Skip to today, and after having experienced the SD star-winning Gundam, it's more or less the disappointment I had anticipated. I mean, on paper, the entire package sounds great. One Gundam, 3 distinct forms, neat accessories, and all at a budget price point. The unfortunate reality is, it's not that great. The SD mode is a brick, the core booster is useless, and the real mode has about the same functionality of a basic action figure. And let's not forget, this is all on top of the fact that the building side to this kit is pretty awful too, what with its poor parts separation and nightmare-inducing sticker sheet. The kit does have one saving grace though. It's cheap. Looking at the glass half full, and yeah, I suppose the star winning does manage to pull off enough for 1200 yen. At the very least, it's able to pull off the real mode transformation. I still don't think the kit's good, yet I don't feel entirely ripped off either. Here's the thing, this is an SD kit masquerading around as a high-grade Gunpla. What it should have been was the other way around, and I would have gladly paid the increase in costs if that were the case. Ultimately, the SDBF star-winning Gundam is recommended for those who just want a plastic representation of the mobile suit to display. It's not an absolute tragedy of a model kit. Nevertheless, it is one of the weakest releases in the Build Fighters lineup. At this point, all I can do is hope that a Master Grade version will offer me the winning road I truly desire. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching, and with Team Tri-Fighters upgraded and assembled, I think it's time we move on to more important matters.